In the movies, when the dead start walking, the first thing people do is look up. They fight their way into the marble lobby of a high-rise, secure the heavy fire doors, and ride the elevator up to the penthouse. They pour a stiff drink, look down at the swarm on the asphalt, and think they won the lottery. It is the ultimate high ground. I am telling you right now, from a tactical perspective, it is the worst mistake you can make. The moment you lock yourself in a modern skyscraper during a grid-down scenario, you have not found a sanctuary. You have just walked into a glass tomb. We call it the illusion of the vertical fortress. You are sitting on the 40th floor. The power grid drops. You assume you are safe because the biters are hundreds of feet below you. But a modern skyscraper is not a fortress. It is a dependent organism. It requires a massive, uninterrupted flow of electricity to pump air, water, and heat through its veins. Without power, it dies instantly, and it will take you with it. This is where the physics of urban engineering turn your luxury apartment into a weaponized environment. Let us put you in the scenario. Hour 0. The emergency broadcast blares, then goes dead. Sirens wail outside. Your first instinct is to gather your family, barricade your heavy steel apartment door, and wait for the authorities. For the first 4 hours, the adrenaline keeps you focused on the doors and windows. You are watching the chaos below. You hear the screams echoing up the glass canyons. You feel smart. You have separation from the threat. But you are ignoring the silence inside your own walls. The hum of the HVAC system is gone. The refrigerator is dead. The clock is ticking on a brutal cascading failure of life support. By hour 4, you go to the sink to wash your face. You turn the handle. Nothing comes out. Municipal water systems rely on massive industrial pumps to pressurize the mains. Those mains can only push water up to about the 5th floor before gravity wins. To get water to your penthouse, the building uses electric booster pumps to violently force water up into rooftop gravity tanks. The second the grid dies, those pumps shut down. The water in the vertical pipes has nowhere to go but down. The hydrodynamic death sentence has just been signed. This is exactly why hope is not a strategy. When the panic hits, most people just guess they have enough food and water. They think they can figure it out on the fly, but the math says otherwise. Do not wait for the sirens. Go to protocolsurvival.com right now. Calculate your survival score and enroll in our free Catastrophe Survival 101 course. Get the training before you need it, because when the water stops flowing, the knowledge in your head is the only thing keeping you alive. Prepare the command center today. You might think the rooftop gravity tanks hold thousands of gallons, and you are right. But here is the fatal flaw. When the system loses pressure, air enters the lines. If anyone on the 39 floors below you opens their tap, the remaining water in the vertical rises drains downward. It follows the path of least resistance. Unless you have the structural blueprints and the physical access to manually shut off the main riser valves isolating your floor, your water is gone within hours. Your neighbours just unknowingly drained your survival supply. Now the reality sets in. This is not about your own thirst. It is about looking at your kid, watching their lips crack, and hearing them ask for a drink you do not have. Guilt is the heaviest gear you will carry downrange. You tell yourself you'll just scavenge the building. You pop the water heater. That is 40 gallons. You check the toilet cisterns. Another 3 gallons. If you are extremely careful, you might secure 60 gallons of potable water from your immediate surroundings. You think that buys you 2 months. It does not. You are forgetting the environment. You are in a sealed glass box. Modern skyscrapers use insulated curtain walls. They let visible light in, which warms the interior, but they do not let the infrared heat back out. It is the exact mechanics of a greenhouse. Without the HVAC blowing cold air, summer temperatures inside a high-rise will easily hit 115 degrees. Your body will sweat profusely just sitting on the couch. Your daily water requirement just tripled. Heat exhaustion sets in. Your 60 gallons will vanish in a week. Some tactical experts suggest hitting the roof and draining the commercial cooling towers. Do not do it. That water is treated with heavy anti-corrosives and biocides. It is also a notorious breeding ground for Legionella bacteria. Drinking it, even if you boil it, exposes you to chemical toxicity and heavy metals that will shut down your kidneys. So now you are trapped in a sweltering box, your local reserves are tapped, and you have to start thinking about the other biological reality. The one nobody talks about in the movies. By the end of the first day, the denial fades. You are looking at a locked door, a dry faucet, and a rising temperature. The threat is not just the horde of biters tearing people apart on the street. The threat is the building itself. It was designed for a hyper-mechanized society. You are a biological organism trapped in an inorganic machine that has just been unplugged. The first night falls, and the absolute darkness of the high-rise is suffocating. You cannot strike a match without drawing attention. You are officially in lockdown. Day 2. The biological time bomb starts ticking. An average adult produces about 1.5 litres of urine and over half a pound of solid waste every single day. Modern flush toilets are a miracle of sanitary engineering, relying on water pressure to create a siphon effect, pulling waste down the soil stack to the sewer. When the water stops flowing, the toilets stop flushing. For the first few days, you will use the bowl anyway. You have no choice. The waste piles up. You are stockpiling a biological weapon in your own home. Human feces is packed with bacteria like E. coli, salmonella, and the pathogens that cause dysentery. But the immediate threat is invisible. Every drain in your apartment has a U-shaped pipe called a P-trap. It holds a small plug of water that blocks the highly toxic sewer gases from rising out of the municipal system and into your living space. Without running water to replenish them, those traps will dry out due to evaporation in the sweltering heat. Once that liquid seal breaks, the nightmare breaches your perimeter. Toxic, flammable gases like hydrogen sulfide, methane, and ammonia will flood your apartment. Hydrogen sulfide smells like rotten eggs, but in high concentrations it deadens your olfactory nerves. You literally stop smelling it right before it causes respiratory paralysis. So you try to vent the room. But the windows on modern skyscrapers are sealed units. They are not designed to open. The only way to get fresh air is to smash the glass. And once you do that, you permanently destroy the thermal envelope of your shelter. You smash the window to let the gas out and the heat escape. You figure you will just toss your waste bags down to the street. It is a medieval tactic, and it will kill you just as fast. Tossing raw sewage down 40 stories creates a massive biohazard perimeter around the base of your own building. Over weeks, that accumulation attracts flies, rats, and feral dogs. Flies are the primary vector for fecal-oral disease transmission. A fly lands on the waste pile on the asphalt, flies straight up to your smashed window, and lands on your scavenged food. You are not going to die from a zombie bite. You are going to die from dysentery. In a grid-down world with no antibiotics, severe diarrhea is a death sentence. It rapidly accelerates dehydration, draining the very water reserves you just risked your life to scavenge. You will die curled in the fetal position on the floor of $1 million luxury penthouse, killed by a microscopic pathogen born from your own waste. The building forced you into this unsanitary corner. It gave you nowhere to put the poison. Let us say it is winter instead of summer. You smash that window to deal with the waste, and now freezing winds are howling through your apartment. At 50 stories up, the wind chill factor is brutal. The core heat of the building bleeds away in 48 hours. You are freezing, so you try to build a fire in a metal trash can or the bathtub. This is another fatal error. Building a fire indoors without a properly engineered chimney is a fast track to carbon monoxide poisoning. Carbon monoxide is a colourless, odourless gas produced by incomplete combustion. It binds to your red blood cells 200 times more effectively than oxygen. You will feel a little sleepy, you will close your eyes, and you will never wake up. Even if you vent the smoke out the broken window, erratic high-altitude wind currents will cause a backdraft, blowing the embers violently back into the room. You set the carpet on fire. There are no sprinkler systems because the pumps are dead. There is no fire department. A fire in a grid-down high-rise rages uncontrollably. It spreads upward, floor by floor, feeding on drywall paper, synthetic carpets, and furniture. If you are above the fire line, you have absolutely zero means of escape. The stairwells act as massive chimneys, funneling superheated toxic smoke straight up to your floor. You will be asphyxiated long before the flames ever reach you. The glass tomb either freezes you, bakes you, or burns you out. Your shelter is actively trying to eliminate you. By day 7, the silence of the lockdown is breaking your mind. You have been sitting in the dark, rationing warm toilet tank water, smelling the encroaching sewer gas. You cannot easily step outside to touch the earth. You cannot interact with nature. This causes severe sensory deprivation. You peer down at a world overrun by horror, trapped hundreds of feet in the air. Hallucinations, paranoia, and deep depression set in rapidly. In a survival situation, your mind is your primary weapon system. The skyscraper dulls that weapon to a useless edge. This psychological degradation leads to fatal tactical errors. You get careless with your blade. You drop a heavy can of beans on the hardwood floor. The sound travels. Downrange, noise discipline is life. In a high-rise, sound echoes down the elevator shafts and the stairwells. The biters milling around the lobby hear that thump. It gives them a vector. They do not know what made the sound, but they know it came from above. They start shuffling toward the fire stairs. Your lockdown is about to be violently interrupted. By day 10, your local water supply is gone. Your family is weak. You have to move. You have to leave the secure floor and scavenge the lower apartments. This means entering the stairwell. In military and SWAT parlance, a stairwell is known as a fatal funnel. It is a narrow, enclosed space with zero cover, terrible lighting, and absolutely no secondary escape routes. Once you open that heavy fire door and step into the pitch-black concrete box, you are committing to a vertical battleground where you hold all the disadvantages. You have to navigate by touch or use a flashlight. If you use a light, you broadcast your exact position down the shaft. If you go dark, you risk a catastrophic fall. You breach an apartment on the 30th floor. You find a few cans of soup and some stale crackers. You secure the calories, but now you have to transport them. This brings us to the most insurmountable physical barrier of high-rise survival: the sheer physics of vertical traversal. It is a mathematical equation that you cannot win. When the elevators are dead, the stairs are the only way up and down. Hollywood shows heroes running up 30 flights, taking a deep breath, and then fighting off the undead. That is garbage. The physiological reality of stair climbing will break you. You burn roughly 0.15 calories per step. A standard flight has 15 steps. That is over 2 calories a flight. If you live on the 40th floor, that is 600 steps. You burn 100 calories just walking up with zero gear. But you are not walking up empty-handed. You are wearing tactical gear, carrying a rifle, and hauling water. Water weighs over 8 pounds a gallon. You secure 3 gallons and 20 pounds of canned food. You are hauling a 45-pound pack. Carrying that load shifts your body from aerobic to anaerobic exertion. Your heart rate spikes. Lactic acid floods your thighs. A 180-pound man carrying that pack up 40 flights will burn over 400 calories just on the ascent alone. You are destroying your body's reserves. This creates a negative caloric return on investment. If you burn 400 calories climbing back to your safe room, and the beans you scavenged only contain 300 calories, you are operating at a massive deficit. You are literally starving yourself to death by hauling your own food. Within weeks, your body will begin cannibalizing its own muscle tissue for energy. Your joints, specifically your knees, will degrade rapidly from the mechanical stress of bearing that weight down and up thousands of concrete steps. You will blow a knee out. In a grid-down apocalypse, a blown patellar tendon is a fatal injury. You cannot walk, you cannot fight, and you cannot run. You become a static target. Your kids will watch you collapse in the stairwell, completely unable to protect them. This is the guilt we talked about. This is why you must understand the logistics before you choose your shelter. The skyscraper forces you to burn more energy than you can reliably replace. It is a caloric black hole, and the deeper you go into the building, the worse it gets. Day 15. You realize scavenging the building is not enough. The lower floors are stripped bare by other panicked tenants, or blocked by the infected. You have to make a ground run. You have to go all the way down to street level, secure supplies, and make it all the way back up. You load your magazines, check your gear, and start the long descent. Every floor you pass is an unknown threat. You hear scratching behind the doors. The smell of decay in the stale air is overpowering. When you are 40 floors deep in enemy territory, you cannot rely on an internet connection to pull up a survival manual. When the grid goes dark, the cloud goes with it. You need a command center that works offline. I built Protocol Survival to be exactly that system. You can secure your inventory, track your water degradation, and access all your free training modules without a cell tower. Go to protocolsurvival.com, download the app now while you still have a signal. Your life depends on offline execution. You make it to the lobby. The heavy glass doors are barricaded, but you can see the street. It is a slaughterhouse. Abandoned cars, debris, and the infected shuffling aimlessly. You slip out through a side service door. You have to move fast, stay low, and avoid detection. If the horde spots you, you cannot outrun them for long. They do not tire. They do not feel lactic acid burn. They do not need to rest. You hit a nearby grocery store, grab whatever is left, and turn back toward your tower. You make it back to the sally port, but as you slip inside, you kick a loose pipe. It clatters on the concrete. 10 heads snap toward you. A low moan ripples through the street. You just pulled aggro. You slam the heavy steel service door and drop the deadbolt. But they saw you go in. They smell the sweat on your clothes. The dead begin pressing against the glass lobby doors. You retreat to the stairwell and start the massive climb, knowing you just brought the war to your front steps. You might think the National Guard is going to step in. You tell yourself the military will establish a green zone, they will clear the streets, or a Black Hawk will land on the roof to evac survivors. Listen to me very closely. They are not coming. In a systemic biological collapse, the chain of command fractures. The military pulls back to defend strategic assets like power plants and government bunkers, not residential condos. Your building is not on their radar. You are entirely on your own. If you think you can just signal a helicopter from the roof, you are betting your life on a Hollywood script. Even if a chopper was flying, rooftop rescues require specialized landing pads and massive structural support. High winds shear around skyscrapers, making hovering incredibly dangerous. And if the pilot sees a horde of infected swarming the base of your building, they are not going to risk their crew for a stranded civilian. The cavalry is not coming. The siege has officially begun, and you are the one trapped inside. Historically, retreating to a fortified high ground without a secure, renewable supply line is not a survival strategy. It is a siege. And in a siege, the side that starves first loses. The dead do not starve. They will stand at the base of your tower for months. The sheer mass of bodies pressing against the lobby doors will eventually compromise the commercial glass and aluminum framing. Standard architectural glass is strong, but it is not designed to withstand thousands of pounds of crushing, relentless biological pressure. When the glass finally shatters, the lobby falls. The horde pours into the ground floor. They mill around, driven by primal instincts. They smell the lingering scent of your escape. They hear the settling groans of the building. And eventually, they find the stairwells. The dead do not have to be smart. They just have to be persistent. They start shuffling up the steps, one floor at a time. The fatal funnel is now a slow-moving meat grinder, and it is coming right for your floor. You are monitoring the stairwell from the 30th floor. You hear them on the 10th, then the 15th. The sound of dragging feet and guttural moans echoing up the concrete shaft. You are cornered. In military defence, a fortress must have a sally port or a concealed route of egress. A skyscraper has none. You cannot go down, the stairwell is completely choked with the infected. You cannot go up because the roof offers no salvation, only a sheer drop. You are pinned on a vertical axis. Day 31. The reality of your glass tomb is absolute. Some survival experts talk about rappelling from the roof. Base jumping, or rappelling from a skyscraper, is a suicidal fantasy for anyone lacking Tier 1 military training and specialised insertion equipment. Standard climbing rope stretches and snaps over a 40-storey drop. The wind shear between the buildings will pick you up and slam you into the glass facade, shattering your pelvis instantly. You are not Batman. You are not going out the window. You pull back into your apartment and barricade the door. You push the heavy oak dining table and the sofas against the frame, but drywall and standard apartment doors are not bank vaults. A determined mass of infected can push through residential framing. You sit in the dark, clutching your weapon. The heat is oppressive. The water is gone. You are burning muscle just trying to stay awake. You did everything the movies told you to do, and it led you straight into an inescapable dead end. The architectural triumph of the high-rise is what killed you. The extreme elevation severed your connection to the water table. The sealed climate control turned your shelter into a biohazard zone. The dependency on municipal infrastructure left you blind and freezing. The illusion of safety lured you away from the ground where true survival actually happens. A skyscraper is merely a monument to modern civilization's mastery over nature. But when civilization falls, nature reclaims the monument. And nature is utterly unforgiving. If the skyscraper is a death trap, what is the alternative? Real-world personal preparedness requires mobility, access to renewable resources, and sustainable defence. The ideal survival structure is a low-rise masonry or heavy timber building, no higher than 3 stories. You want to be in a suburban or rural environment. You want a structure that operates independently of the municipal grid. You need a shelter that breathes, that connects to the earth, and that offers you multiple survivable escape routes. In a low-rise suburban structure, the water problem is entirely different. You can utilise passive rain catchment systems fed directly into barrels on the ground level. You are physically closer to the natural water table, making the manual excavation of a shallow well a real possibility. You do not need electric booster pumps to push water into your sink. Gravity is on your side, not fighting against you. Your family has access to clean, renewable hydration without relying on a fragile power grid. Waste management in a low-rise is solvable. Ground-level access allows you to construct a composting toilet or dig an external deep trench latrine out in the yard. You situate it far from your living quarters and your water supply. This completely neutralises the risk of sewer gas building up in your home. It stops the spread of cholera and dysentery. You keep your shelter sanitary, and you eliminate the biological time bomb that would have killed you in the penthouse. By staying low, you eliminate the vertical caloric bottleneck entirely. You are not hauling 45 pounds of gear up 1,000 concrete steps every day. Your body can rest. Your joints remain intact. Furthermore, ground access allows for the cultivation of high-calorie root vegetables like potatoes and yams in the backyard. You can trap small game. You are creating a sustainable, positive caloric loop, rather than starving yourself just to transport a can of beans up an elevator shaft. Tactically, a 2-story masonry house gives you excellent defense and critical egress. You can reinforce the ground floor windows and doors, creating a hardened perimeter. You sleep on the second floor, giving you a tactical height advantage over the street without being trapped in the clouds. If the perimeter is breached, you have immediate, survivable escape routes. Dropping from a second-story window to the grass below is highly survivable. Dropping from the 40th floor of a high-rise is not. Climate control in older, lower structures is manageable without electricity. They often feature passive cooling designs like deep eaves, shaded porches, and actual cross-ventilation. You can open a window to let a breeze in. For the winter, they can be easily retrofitted with safe, external venting wood stoves to provide essential heat without filling the room with lethal carbon monoxide. You can safely burn wood to stay warm, to boil water, and to cook food. You control your environment. But what if you are caught in the city when the outbreak happens? What is your standard operating procedure? Your primary mission must not be to fortify a high-rise. Your mission is to evacuate the urban centre before the grid completely fails, before the chaos locks the streets, and before the highways become permanent, gridlocked graveyards. You grab your bug-out bag, you gather your family, and you push hard for the perimeter. You do not go up. You go out. If you are absolutely pinned and must shelter in place temporarily, choose a commercial building no higher than 3 stories. Look for a warehouse or a big box store with roof access via a single, easily securable staircase. This gives you enough elevation to avoid line-of-sight detection from the infected milling on the street. But it keeps the logistics of hauling water and disposing of waste physically manageable. You can observe the threat, plan your route, and execute your exfiltration when the time is right. The cinematic image of the rugged survivor, barricaded in a luxury penthouse, insulated from the horrors of the apocalypse, is a dangerous fantasy. It completely ignores the invisible, absolute laws of the physical world. A skyscraper is a machine. It relies on the continuous hum of local power plants, the immense pressure of municipal water mains, and the unseen daily labour of sanitation workers. Without that system, the building turns feral. It will actively fight your attempts to stay alive. When the dead rise and the power dies, gravity will strip away your water. The lack of water will turn your bathrooms into lethal biological hazards. The extreme verticality will rapidly drain your caloric reserves, destroying your muscles and your joints. The sealed architectural design will freeze you in the winter storms and bake you in the summer heat. And when the horde finally surrounds the lobby, breaking through the glass, you will find yourself cornered in the sky. You will be trapped in a multi-million-dollar glass tomb, hundreds of feet in the air, listening to the dead drag their feet up the stairwell. You will look at your children, knowing that the stronghold you chose is the exact thing that sealed their fate. You have absolutely nowhere to run. In the brutal reality of survival logistics, you never surrender your mobility. You never lock yourself in a box you cannot break out of. True safety in a catastrophe is found on the ground. It is found in dirt, in renewable water, and in the ability to move. The grid isn't just what keeps the lights on and the water flowing. It's what keeps the monsters out. When the grid falls, you have to be ready to step into the void with open eyes and cold logic. Stay low, stay mobile, and stay dangerous.